Attention! Are you struggling to figure out the best optic for your rifle? The best flashlight? The best barrel length? The best ammunition? Is the LPVO red dot and prism debate something that elicits a physical response with you? Do YouTube videos cause you to lust after new products? Are you watching videos nonstop to vicariously live through others? Have you promised yourself the current thing you are looking at is for sure the last thing you'll ever need to be complete? After this one, you'll be done for sure. No, really, this time you'll stop for real. Hi, I'm Brass Facts. You may be suffering from a common condition known as restless rifle syndrome. Restless rifle syndrome affects 4 out of 5 prepared citizens. Please call 1-800. Please don't fucking call me. Call 1-800. Please don't fucking call me and book a free consultation today. Your future is in your hands. You too can live a life free from gear grind, rat race, and more. You too can live a life without restless rifle syndrome. Alright, so that was a dumb bit, but I think most of you are familiar with restless rifle syndrome, or RRS. It's the act of forever cycling out parts on a rifle perpetually as your perception about it constantly changes in a very cyclical manner, never being happy with your current setup for more than a couple months, maybe 6 months at most. This is both a frustrating experience, an expensive one, and honestly, in a lot of ways, self-sabotaging to the point where you never really settle on anything. I get asked basically daily about people needing advice, not on specific products, preparedness items, or philosophy, but is this rifle good, Brass Facts? I like it, but it's not perfect. I've been thinking about swapping over to this budget optic for a slightly better optic. What do you think? Please tell me it's good. I need validation. I can, of course, give the basic answer of, hey, idiot, stop that. Stop that right now. But instead, I'm going to actually do a whole ass video on it, because believe it or not, I too used to suffer from restless rifle syndrome, and I'd like to help you, live a life without it. So I've whipped together some notes here on a Wednesday, and I'm going to kind of go off the cuff here. To discuss this, I've divided it up into 3 key areas. Number 1, chasing trends and consumerism. Number 2, your lack of confidence in your gear and capability. And number 3, the desire to have the perfect do-it-all setup. Let's start with that, trends and consumerism. I think this is what most people reach to when trying to diagnose and then solve restless rifle syndrome. Just stop buying things, bro. Stop being such a consumer. Yeah, in theory, sure, but, and this is going to be a bit of a reversal given the topic of the video, no. I don't think that's it. For starters, it's like telling someone with depression, just be happy, bro. It doesn't actually address the underlying issue and is thus kind of useless advice. I also don't think it is as bad as people make it out to be. There's always going to be some degree of consumerism and trend chasing because 99.9% of us, preparedness, guns, and more are a practical thing, sure, but it's also a fun lifestyle. And part of a fun lifestyle means you buy cool shit that you want, and in this case also end up being an upgrade on your rifle. Let's stop castigating people for being human, especially when those that are being most critical are very most often the most consumerist of the bunch. No, justifying buying new gear because it's part of your YouTube channel doesn't actually make it any better. However, there are of course nuggets of truth here. Consumerism can overtake you while offering no practical benefits, and I think the stereotypical case of this is the dreaded side upgrade loop of money burning that so many often find themselves in. When you want something better and you're kind of not happy with what you have, but you're too damn lazy to save for more than 2 months, so you end up, having instant gratification kicking, you see a slightly better product that your favorite YouTuber showed you in the same price category, and you're like, hey, I'm going to sell my current thing and buy that thing, and then, yeah, it'll be awesome, and then you're going to find yourself rinsing and repeating 6 months down the line. Because the reality is, you didn't really buy anything better, you just bought a slight incremental or side upgrade. So when you are actually seeking out better, higher quality gear, a lot of times you just have to realize it's going to cost more money, and that's the worst part of consumerism. Buying the same tier crap over and over and over again, and having that perfect rifle setup, air quotes, always being slightly out of reach. But in short, I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with buying new gear as long as you can do so responsibly and you do get some benefit out of it. However, I know many of you do have issues where you're constantly chasing gear and don't actually really want to be on that rat race, hence this video, and that's where the other 2 aspects I think come into play. Lack of confidence in your both ability and gear. So, have you ever had a dream where you need to shoot something in your dream, with your concealed carry gun, and then you go to pull the trigger and it is unnaturally heavy, like 20, 30 pounds heavy. Like you need to use both fingers to pull the trigger. So you struggle to get your shot off and you probably get shot in the face or something. I don't know. So yeah, turns out a lot of shooters have this dream, and it's essentially your brain manifesting your inner lack of confidence with your ability as a shooter. Basically, it's the functional equivalent of showing up naked to that math test you never study for, but in shooting form. And this ties back into that restless rifle syndrome in many ways. It's just lack of experience or ability. You haven't internalized what you need and what you don't need given a situation. And as such, you basically need to kind of guess. This lack of understanding of fundamental confidence in your ability does translate to hypotheticals running rampant in your head. Trust me, I've had it too. What if I need to engage out to 500 yards? Can I do it with this piece of gear? What if I need to do CQB? Does this gear do CQB? What if the 1X really is as bad as Brassfax said? Wait, the scope doesn't have wind holds. I need wind holds, right? Oh my god, I'm going to die. All of those questions become very silly and distinctly whatever when you've done it 10, 20 times with the piece of gear you already have. And at that point, it's just, well, I'm looking for improvements, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. But you're confident that you can actually just do the thing with what you have right now. And that takes a lot of the burden that seems to drive restless rifle syndrome, off your shoulders. Sure, gear reviewers can give you advice, save you a lot of trial and error on specific gear, and hopefully steer you away from legitimately overpriced or bad gear. But if you never put it to practice, you'll always be at the whims of others' experience if you never figure it out and at least try some of it. Once you build up that confidence and understand your ability, you'll quickly go from needing things to just building preference. And preferences is both much more accommodating and easier to satiate. And that actually ties us perfectly into the final component that I think drives restless rifle syndrome. And it's the desire for a perfect setup. I think on paper, people get it, but in practice, people fall down pitfalls all the time without realizing it. I think my favorite comment that illustrates this is the people that are incredibly adamant, for example, I think the ACOG RMR is the best optic because it does everything perfectly. ACOG RMR is fine, but it straight up skylines that person as someone that most likely will be switching to a red dot magnifier within a year and then LPVO the year after that. As you shoot more and more and more and more, you get a lot of time behind gear, you begin to learn intuitively that there is actually no free lunch. There is no perfect option between the types of gear. There is no correct answer per se. It's compromise upon compromise upon compromise. And you need to build confidence in your ability to understand that you can overcome many of these downsides, but also figure out where you personally need help from your gear and in your environment and circumstance and more. I think the GPR is my big line in the sand in this regard. General purpose rifle to me is a capable multi-role rifle, sure, but is something that needs to be grounded very conservatively as a fighting rifle first and foremost, which means overall length considerations, weight, close-in usability, etc. All too often people take their great GPR and then read statistics on 5.56 velocities or the desire for a suppressor or the desire for a 3 to 18 scope, and then one time they shot really far and they actually needed a bipod. And because these people, don't have experience a lot of the times and can't live with limitations or downsides in their setups or perceived capability gaps, you get this monstrous gun with, that 20-inch barrel, that 3 to 18 scope, that bipod, and everything lopped on top. You can only focus on a couple key capabilities, and everything suffers as a result. And this ties into scopes being the big one, as something people often lament over as being a weakness on their rifle. They buy an ACOG RMR, it's got shit eye relief. They buy an LPVO, it's not perfect in everything and it's kind of fragile. Red dot magnifier, the magnification is tiny and what if I need to rely on batteries? And then the circle of life continues. Not that any of these options are bad, but there's just simply no free lunch. No, stop it. A 2 to 10 with a red dot is not a free lunch. Stop bringing that up. It's just an option. You gotta pick what you like and where you want to focus, and then use skill to overcome the weak points in your system. And in order to do that, you need to actually know what you can and cannot handle. Some people can get away with just a red dot. Some people can get away with just a red dot magnifier. I personally like LPVOs because I want that magnification, but I also care about the 1X being in the centerline position. Other people don't care about that at their current, ability level or desire level, and instead want the rugged durability of an ACOG RMR. Now, a lot of people come up with these desires and requirements based off of what they think sounds good in their head, but if it's something that you've come up with in your head, you are almost certainly going to be influenced by, an influencer, and you're going to change your mind all the time, every time you see a new piece of kit. If you have this grounded in reality based off of prior experience, well, then that prior experience is much harder to change based off of what some schmuck said on YouTube like me or whatever. One final point, there is something to be said about having a rifle that you haven't touched in over a year, that you have a lot of round count on and a lot of time on, and a lot of experience behind, where you know the downsides, the upsides, you know the dope, you know everything intuitively. That is a big reason why I don't really touch my main quote-unquote rifles at all. I don't take the optics off for a review, I put it on a different review rifle or something to that effect. And the reason for this is any upsides or benefits or gains you might get for trying out, this 2% better optic, this 10% better optic, this different optic, are going to be largely inconsequential compared to you just being confident with whatever system you currently have. And I think that's probably the most important thing of all. You should be, once you start building skills, be pushing towards kind of really nailing down a setup that you are comfortable with, that you have that, meets your preferences, and then just leaving it for a long time. And then eventually, sometimes there will come a point where you're like, dude, I need to upgrade this thing. I'm lacking in capability here. This match, this shooting trip I did really showed a fundamental, problem with this gear. And then it makes sense to make the change. But that's not Restless Rifles. Anyway, that was a bit of a stream of consciousness trying to address Restless Rifle Syndrome. Probably kind of a boring topic, all things considered, but I think it's something worth getting out there. And probably one of the things where I can provide some of the best value as someone that's worked his way through all of this personally. Don't worry, regular programming will resume shortly. Here's your daily Nova clip, and see ya. I think SHOT Show's coming up, so you'll be getting some content from that shortly. Okay, later, dudes.
Her foot's cooking. No, but you can move your foot. Yeah, I know, but that's not gonna work. It's clear you need to move. Yeah, Animal. You're being stupid. Move your... There you go. Ow! Dog! You're cooking. Yeah, there you go. No! Alright, I need to help you. See how easy that was instead of just moving your foot on repeat? Now go to sleep. Lie down. You're being a dog. Yeah, your foot's cooked. I know.